Alawakmun Pulakai, Sak Regle Min Kisanat Bai. Sakafet, Tutmun Sakpase, my niggas. So, some quick news. There's some eyewitness news. Some businessmen had actually gone to say hi to Jack Guy LaFontaine and Jovenel Moise, the Prime Minister and the President of Haiti. So that was like huge news. A bunch of businessmen from from the Bahamas, maybe a week ago, had visited Haiti. That was it. Just a bunch of businessmen came and visited Haiti. They talked to Jack Guy LaFontaine and Jovenel Moise. Another quick, small piece of information. This whole thing is about Moise in Taiwan and the $150 million loan that he was able to secure. But I have all these sort of little tidbits here. There are some Haitian migrant workers in Chile who were involved in a pile-up car wreck. So they're migrant workers. They're cheap labor in Chile. There was a bunch of Haitians in one vehicle, and then that vehicle got into a car wreck. And it was in the Melipilla toll booth, southeast of the capital, Chile. A van carrying 14 agricultural workers, men and women, was a victim of a pile-up. And it was at night. There's 3 vehicles. It was on the Autopista del Sol towards San Antonio. 10 Haitian workers, 10 migrants were injured in the accident to different varying degrees. They went to Melipilla San Jose Hospital by the ambulances of UMS of Melipilla and Talagante. So they're investigating it. There's about 20 people that was injured, 10 of them. So that's, you don't always think about that. Migrant workers go to other countries in order to try to make a better living, but they only have one vehicle, so they're actually at risk, at a higher risk of, I hope that they're all alive, but there was 10, right? At one time, one shot, all 10 migrant workers were injured. There was this unfortunate thing here. You had about a week ago, the John A. Carroll, M.D., a doctor, had posted on Pekin Times, Pekin Times.com, on May 25th, 2018, that he had saw this sweet 30-year-old in a rural Haitian clinic a few weeks ago. She had the usual symptoms of congestive heart failure. Then the other day, he received a text from Haiti that she had died. So this lady, this nice lady here with a blue shirt, nice, innocent lady. She had some congestive heart failure. She's 30 years old, and the headline to the story was, "A poor Haitian dies of being poor." So this is somebody who died without any health care. There are 5 to 10% of Americans who do not have health insurance. So there's not having universal health care. I mean, it's life or death. And then also think about the diseases that will be spread, throughout the villages. It's universal health care is almost, that's a good way for the wealthy people to not get hit with the bubonic plague that comes out of the masses. Well, a month ago, a little bit more tragedy, and then this is actually a good story. This is an uptick after this. Okay, so about a month ago, you had strong rains. A 9-year-old girl, a 9-year-old Haitian girl was killed. And one man was reported missing, another was wounded. The authorities said over the weekend the rains and floods destroyed 2 houses and damaged 2 others in Turgot, in the capital, while in another section of Port-au-Prince, the capital, 2 other houses were destroyed, 2 others damaged. So 2 houses destroyed, 2 houses destroyed here. People die in hurricane and weather-related accidents in the U.S. It's always like, 1 or 2 people for whatever reason. On Sunday, several rivers flooded area in the Great South, and the DPC has appealed to residents in the areas to go to higher grounds. The authorities said in Jovenel, the waters of the Petite Riviere, which crosses the community of Sable Cabaret, carried away a man and a woman. The body of the woman was later found on Sunday, and the search continues for the man. So where'd the man go? So he could be dead too, right? There's one was missing. He's the missing one. One was wounded. The woman did come back up. So somebody, the man in Jovenel, I don't know if he had died or not. And then Turgot and Port-au-Prince saw some housing damages. And then there's the 9-year-old girl. So there's some injuries. One man may be missing and dead, and a 9-year-old girl. So it's just, it's tragedy. It sucks. So the uptick, so the Hurricane Matthew actually wiped out a lot of the country's new jobs. In 2016, they got hit with Hurricane Matthew. Haiti's always getting hit with earthquakes and hurricanes and lots of natural disasters. They actually, maybe they attracted, I don't know what is so attractive, being by the equator, being in the middle of the ocean, being a tiny island in the middle of the ocean. Maybe that's what is attracting all these hurricanes and earthquakes. So this is important because Jovenel Moise had promised to the Haitian people, he was part of the bald-headed party, and he promised to the Haitian people that he was going to get 24-hour electricity for everybody. Now, in 1990, 28% of Haitians had electricity. There is public electricity, and there's a lot of blackouts, too, from 5 years ago when I had been there. So Haiti has limited access to electricity, where only 30% of Haitians in 2016 have a connection to the electrical grid today, or 2 years ago. So 30% in 1990, and now 40% just 2 years ago. So this is not an increase. This is embarrassing. This is horrible. I don't know why the Haitian people would have actually picked Jovenel Moise, who was, the bald-headed party, taking over for Michael Martelly, who he had endorsed eventually, when there's still 60% are in, poverty, 25% are in extreme poverty. Then you have, 60% of Haitians don't even have electricity. So that's the current status on the ground. You have, 60%, 62% of the Haitian people do not have electricity. So he had promised to bring 24-hour electric to everybody in Haiti. And he's got 5 years total, but he wants to get something done within 2 years. So he goes to Taiwan. Jovenel Moise had actually secured this loan because everybody's running away from Taiwan. China and Taiwan, they were, at one time, Taiwan was the government of China. And then they ran away to Taiwan, an island, and then they just established a brand new government there. So they're the old royalist, Chinese royalist. The communist government had overthrown the Chinese government, and then they went to Taiwan. So now there's Taiwan and China, and there's this diplomatic race road to say who, acknowledges one or the other. We acknowledge Taiwan. I guess we all deserve a chance, right, in spite of their legacy of being the royalist, establishment. But maybe that's why America protects them, because the 1% here recognizes that we need to protect the 1% everywhere. If they get, something happens to them, well, hell, that could start some kind of, movement all across the world. So in June of 2017, Jovenel comes out and he pledges to Haiti that he's going to build a brand new energy network to provide electricity to Haiti 24 hours every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year in the next 2 years, 18 to 24 months. So this was in June of last year. It's coming up to be June. He's only got 1 more year left. Jovenel Moise has 1 year left. The planned grid would cover 600 kilometers and supply power to 16 major cities and 10 departments. So not all of Haiti specifically, but 16 major cities and 10 departments, 600 kilometers. So a lot of electricity all over the place, all throughout Haiti, at least by the end of his term, 2022. He's already distributed 7,000 solar power systems to households in 11 different areas. So solar power systems are being delivered right now to poor areas, roads, clean up rivers, water projects. This is what he is trying to do. So he bought 45 SUVs, apparently, for the water projects, but some people say it's for himself and his people and friends and family. And he has 45 different bank accounts, which is sketchy. But let's assume Jovenel Moise, his intentions are pure. His motive is for what is best for the Haitian people. So Haiti gets the same amount of sunlight as sunny Phoenix, Arizona. So the solar power industry, it is ripe. Haiti is ripe for the solar power industry to take over. And the local government and NGOs, if anybody wants to help with that, 10 Power. There's a company called 10 Power that's been pushing for this in the Haitian Ministry of Public Works, Transportation and Communications. They're working with the World Bank to develop a framework to continue to deploy sustainable mini-grids. Diesel is expensive. It's expensive to get gasoline. It's expensive to get coal and gasoline. So why not get off of the grid right now? And by encouraging solar power systems all over the place, 50% of the houses in Germany have solar power. So that's the inevitable direction of society anyways. It's free electricity. Once you have a solar power system in your house and you don't use any of that electricity, you can sell it back to the company and you can sell it to your neighbors. So you actually have a commodity that you can sell. So this is good for the individual, good for the society, good for the environment. It's good all around. And especially if we're able to, we're just going to make it better and better and more efficient. So I'm sure it's not as great as fossil fuel. It doesn't have as much, but with the expense of fossil fuels in Haiti right now, solar power is definitely a major player, a major competitor. So, and then the government is actually buying them and distributing them out to poor people. So 7,000 solar power systems, not just panels for rooftops, but also the wiring and the battery in order to connect the whole thing. So this is Jovenel Moise, right? He's promising to get electricity for all of Haiti. He's got a goal, 24-hour electricity for all of Haiti. And there's even the National Regulatory Authority for the Energy Sector he created, led by Evanson Calixte, who's tasked with facilitating the transition of the energy sector from a quasi-monopoly to unprecedented openness. So this is just what his challenges are. He needs to bring electricity to 62% of the Haitian people who do not have Haitians, and Taiwan has opened up an opportunity. So since China is giving out these sweetheart loans, and the whole idea with China, give out sweetheart loans, and when the country can't pay them back with the corrupt leadership, then they take over a seaport, then they take over libraries and hospitals and public lands, because the country must sell their assets in order to pay off these Chinese loans. So China is trying to win through economics. We owe China a shit ton of money. The United States does in a legitimate government. China is trying to get everybody to turn against Taiwan. And recently they actually did get Burkina Faso and the Dominican Republic's allegiance to Beijing, the opposite. So Taiwan lost Dominican Republic and they lost Burkina Faso. China, Beijing, won Burkina Faso and Dominican Republic last month over with these sweetheart loans. This is making Taiwan nervous. Taiwan is scared. So this was already agreed before he had left, so I don't even know what the trip was about, to be honest with you. But the Taiwan had granted a loan of $150 million to build an extensive electric grid in Haiti. So this is a loan. So is it a good loan? It seems to me this is what Jovenel Moise wanted. So Jovenel Moise got what he wanted. He already had secured the $150 million loan beforehand, and then I guess he needed to go to Taiwan and make a big public demonstration of his support for the country and for. So hopefully it's a low interest rate, 1%, 10%, 18%. I don't know what the interest rate was, and it's not, it's not $1 billion. And I don't know exactly, what he was going for. So did he get all that he wanted? Was it a nice low interest rate loan? And he got, so I do think this is a victory for the Haitian people, assuming that Jovenel Moise is what he looks like. He looks like an attractive, a strong, pretty black man. But is his motivations and intentions pure? Is he pure? Is he innocent? Does he actually want what is good for the people? He must remain loyal and fearless for the common Haitian people. That's what Jovenel Moise must do for the entire duration that he is in there. So if we ignore the 100 bank accounts that he's got and the 400 vehicles he got on his private credit card, maybe he's not corrupt, okay? Maybe he's going to try to actually do something good for Haiti. He got a $150 million loan. So he was able to, pressure Taiwan to give them a loan that perhaps they wouldn't have given away, since China is winning over Burkina Faso and Dominican Republic, which is the next door neighbor to Haiti. So Haiti's going to be shackled to Taiwan for decades to pay off this loan, but if he's able to get the electricity, then I would say that it was a victory. So while Jovenel Moise was on this trip, and again, it was a 5-day trip with 30 different delegates, why did he actually have to go there with all those folks, all those people, and the deal was already done. The deal was done before he even went. While he was there, you had Guy Jack Guy. So Jack Guy LaFontaine, who is the Prime Minister. There is a sharing of power. It's a semi-presidential system or a dual president system where you have the Prime Minister and the President who both have strong executive authority. So while Jovenel Moise is out of the country, Jack Guy LaFontaine runs Haiti. He's the man. He's the head of government. In fact, by calling him the head of government, he sounds like he's more in charge of internal police and internal security. And he was talking about risk management and had all these other groups, government groups about the 2018 hurricane season. So Jack Guy LaFontaine was trying to get everybody ready for a hurricane season, which begins today, June 1st. So happy hurricane season, the whole world. But that's a bad thing, right? So that's what Jack Guy LaFontaine was doing while Jovenel Moise was over. So this is important in terms of politics, because Jovenel Moise can't sign any, edicts. He can't sign any laws. He can't dictate. He could, I guess, call and tell people what to do, but he's not there actually on the scene. He can't see with his own eyes. So Jack Guy LaFontaine, I would say most Haitian people know who Jovenel Moise is since they voted for him, but the Prime Minister, who is elected by the politicians amongst themselves, I bet they don't know him as well as much. So Jack Guy LaFontaine, and I'm going to do a video about him in a second. So Jovenel Moise goes to Taiwan, secures this $150 million loan. So, congratulations. This is good for Haiti. Hopefully he'll be able to get this loan, start working on his 24-hour electricity project. Now, it's interesting that he's going to align with Taiwan. How does China feel about that? I bet China doesn't like that. But if they're able to get their loan from Taiwan, then maybe they don't need China's loans. I wonder if China try to offer them a higher amount of loan. So Taiwan's got official relations with only 18 countries in the world. Most of them are poor nations in the Pacific and in Central America, such as Belize and Nauru. So why does Taiwan only have allies to a bunch of third world countries? Because Taiwan, is probably the only one that's talking to these third world nations, since they need anybody to be able to trade with. So China offers these multi-billion-dollar loans for their debt trap diplomacy, and Taiwan can offer $150 million. So China has deeper pockets. So it's not a gift, it's a loan. He needs to be able to provide electricity to his people and then profit from it. So he's going to have to charge the Haitian people for the electricity that they get in order to pay back his Taiwan paymasters. So why couldn't Jovenel Moise have found $150 million out of his own country? Haiti needs to do a whole bunch of things. I have about 20 policy suggestions, but legalizing marijuana, Haiti needs to do this immediately, and Haiti needs to require every single citizen to raise marijuana, because if there was an apocalypse, marijuana would be used as currency along with other resources, food, water, clothing, so with a barter system. So, Toot Moon, everybody needs to raise marijuana. There's money to be made, and it's poor. Haiti is poor, so they need to do everything and anything that they can do. So, it's a loan. It's a loan. It's not a gift. So that just means you got to pay it back. So it is a victory for Haiti, but I don't know. So, okay. A little bit about Jovenel Moise. He had won in 2016. He assumes the presidency February 7th, 2017. So Jovenel Moise has been in office for 1 year and about 5 months. 1 year, 5 months. Now, Jovenel Moise was elected by overwhelming margins, by over 30 points, or nearly 30 points. He got 55%. The second place winner was 25%. So he kicked the shit out of, all the other candidates. So this was an acceptance of Michael Martelly's regime. Martelly didn't pick a successor, but Jovenel Moise was able to get the bald-headed party's nomination, and then Martelly would endorse him later on. So it's basically a Martelly successor, even though it wasn't directly chosen. So the Haitian people said, okay, here's Jovenel Moise. He's bald-headed. Martelly wants him. And they went with the establishment. They went ahead and said, Michael Martelly did a great job. The bald-headed party, the Tet Kale party, the PHTK, the Tet Kale party, did such a great job. that we're going to go ahead and accept it. So that's from the approval of the electorate, the Haitian people who actually voted. So out of the 10% or 20%, but out of those people who voted, the vast overwhelming majority wanted Jovenel Moise. So that is a good thing for Michael Martelli, and it gives Jovenel Moise a huge mandate to do as the fuck as he pleases. So if he turns out to be a good leader, then Jovenel Moise could do a great job for the Haitian people. Now, I don't know why the Haitian people would have elected Jovenel Moise. You had Michael Martelli famously said that Haiti is open for business in his inauguration address. So he's a capitalist. And he was also around a bunch of people that overthrew Aristide, and he was, Miami and American officials. So it seemed like the elite very much wanted Michael Martelli to open Haiti up for business. Well, how did that work out for Haiti? Being open for business, you still got 60% of people living under $3 a day, 25% living under extreme poverty on less than $1.23 a day. According to the World Bank, Haiti is the 13th poorest country in the world. It's a very unequal society. It's also one of the most densely populated nations in the world, which means everybody's living on top of one another, and you're going to have disputes over land and housing and area all the time. It's going to be commonplace. So all these problems are still there. Martelli was in there for 5 years. He didn't change. None of that turned anything around. Haiti is still a shithole. It was a shithole 5 years ago. It's a shithole now. And Jovenel Moise, my guess, since he's a capitalist, Haiti's going to be a shithole 3 to 4 years from now. Now, he's going to try to do something if he can do the electricity thing, but I just think that Haiti needs a much more radical agenda than what Jovenel Moise is putting up. They need an Aristide. Aristide's programs were actually working. So the Tech Collie Party was associated with Martelli, but Martelli was actually never a part of the Bald-Headed Party. But the Bald-Headed Party, I would say, was inspired by Michael Martelli. The PHTK in the National Assembly and the Parliament, 31 of the 119 deputies in the Chamber of Deputies are part of the Tech Collie Party, and then 6 of the 30 senators. And not all of them have bald heads. I actually saw a woman who was the chief of staff. So there's a large, substantial handful of senators, 6 of 30, who are part of the Tech Collie Party, and then 31 of the 119 deputies in the Chamber of Deputies. Those who are part of the Bald-Headed Party will get more from their president because he's part of the Bald-Headed Party too. So that's a strong faction. It's a large faction, and there isn't many. It's not like a two-party system. It's a multi-party system. So 31 seats is substantial. 6 Senate seats and 31 deputy seats is substantial. And that's it. That's essentially what's going on in Haiti. So Jovenel Moise, with 30 members of the Haitian government, went to Taiwan. They jumped ship from China. Fuck you, China. And they got a loan from Taiwan. So my guess is Jovenel Moise kind of squeezed Taiwan a little bit, got the loan that he wanted to get. Taiwan and Haiti have historically been buddies since 1956. So that was actually with Papa Doc. And that's for, over 80 years, 70 to 80 years. So if there is a long friendship, then there's a historical, they have an interesting historical relationship, just like UK and America does. But Taiwan and Haiti have been allies since 1956. They're still allies in 2018. He says they were looking for a mutual win. Jovenel Moise did, and that's what they get. Last thing I want to mention, actually 2 things I want to mention. Canaan, there's a city called Canaan in Haiti. It's named after the biblical promised land. It has no government at all, so it's kind of like a Wild West, but because their people are, basically picking shit up for themselves. It was right after the 2010 earthquake. They opened up these public lands. People moved there, found a little corner for themselves, and now they're just keeping it. They built their own houses, restaurants, football pitches, schools, healthcare center, pharmacies. There's no real police there. They settled disputes on their own. There is no voting or elections, no formal way to choose the leaders. So it's interesting what's going on in Canaan. But can it be maintained? The 3 cities around Canaan are trying to take control over them, but Canaan seems like they need to develop themselves. They are the big land opportunity. They are the promised land. So after the earthquake, here's the promised land. People went to the promised land. And that's major land reform. And in the Constitution, Haiti has a land reform provision. So I think it's time to, get the land office and land reform back up again. Last thing I want to mention, 30% of all industries in the Haitian society, 30% of all industries, according to the Constitution, must be female. But there's only one female in the parliament. So out of the 150 parliamentarians, out of 150 politicians, out of 150 legislators, only one of them is female. 30% of them should be female. Since there's 150, then that means 45 should be female, but only one is female. That's constitutional. So your own parliament is actually breaking the 1987 with the 2012 Amendment Constitution. So I said that was it, but since I got 4 more minutes, Suspend Polikaka. Suspend Polikaka. Ubuzini Stipit. Petty Concessio. Not Petty Concessio. So, Dessalines, he killed all the white people, right? So you got 1801 Constitution, 1805 Constitution. The 1987 Constitution is the current Constitution. And I think there's a lot of very progressive things. One of the best things about the Haitian Constitution is they go ahead and codify the Human Rights Declaration of the United Nations, 1948 Human Rights Declaration that was written by Eleanor Roosevelt as part of the human rights that Haitians get to enjoy, which actually means there's more freedom in Haiti than what there is in America. The United Nations freedoms, there's more freedoms listed in the United Nations freedoms than there are in the Bill of Rights. So they add more freedom. So I think it's amazing. Haiti, at least on paper, is more freedoms are guaranteed to the Haitians than to the American people. So the 1805 Constitution, Dessalines goes ahead and kicks the French's ass, and he says all the white people must die, specifically the French, but not the white women, not the Germans or the Polish, who were good to the black folks, who fought on the side of the slaves, the Germans and the Polish did. White people have been pissed about, the Dessalines killing all the whites ever since. And then white women are black. Dessalines was like, okay, all the men are white, but not the white women. They're black. So no white men are black except for the Polish and the Germans. White women are? That's interesting. Why? Because they're weak and stupid, can't speak for themselves, and when one man takes another man's woman, she just has to accept it. She don't have a choice. That's, I don't know. So they're just, whatever their male overseers tell them what they are, is that whoever they are? So anyways, white women are black according to Dessalines, and so are the Germans and the Polish, and any mixed people, they're all black. French and all the whites are white, so fuck all the whites. No white can ever come back on to the property. Now, Dessalines also was for religious freedom, so he believed in freedom of religion. Toussaint Louverture did not. Toussaint Louverture had made Catholicism the state religion. Toussaint Louverture had banned voodoo. He said, fuck your voodoo, Haiti. Fuck your voodoo, you fucking Haitian. On the island of Haiti in 1801, he banned voodoo, and he made Catholicism, Catholic religion, a state-sponsored religion. All must bow down to the Catholics. Not to the Loa, not to the ghost of yesterday's ancestors, not to some weird voodoo Haitian priest that has, a voodoo doll and just has all these weird faces and keeps spitting water out and making out with drinking all the liquor. Oh, shit. Religion is a motherfucker. So, yeah, viva the Yeti Sherry. Peace.